Hi, and welcome to my channel. Or if you're a returning subscriber, hi again! It's so nice to see you back here for another video. My name's Teslar, and today I'm going to show you how you can make these beautiful Epoxy Geode trinket trays using epoxy resin, alcohol ink, some mica powder, and some glitter. Let's just hop into today's project. Each of these little coaster molds hold about 100 milliliters of resin, so I went ahead and I pre-mixed 200 milliliters of resin just to save some time in this video. And as always, I will have all of the materials that I used linked in the description down below, so if you're curious and want to try this project for yourself, all of that information will be down there for you. I'm just going to go ahead and separate out some of my clear resin into 3 different cups, and I'll be using those cups to mix up my colors. I will be reserving about 20 milliliters of clear resin though to use in this project as well. For my colors, I'm going to be using Pinata Colors, the Mattia Black, and just one little drop into this guy because I want some of my black to be a bit translucent. A good way to test the opacity of your colors is to see how it looks on the end of your popsicle stick. Next, I'm going to be mixing up my white, and I'm using alcohol ink, again by Pinata Colors. It's their Blanco Blanco, but I'll also be adding some Periwinkle Glow mica powder by Arteza. And the Periwinkle Glow has this really lovely blue tint to it in the sun that I'm absolutely obsessed with. Whenever you're mixing pigments with resin, just make sure that you're really scraping the sides and the bottom of your container and getting that really well incorporated. Moving on to a more opaque black, so I'm just loading up my last cup with some more of that Mattia Black alcohol ink by Pinata Colors. And then I'll go ahead and mix that up until it's thoroughly incorporated with this resin. I want the center of my geodes to have a bit of glitter, so I'm going to be using some of the glitter from Let's Resin. For the glitter, I'm going to pour my glitter in first, and then I will add a little bit of resin to that. And I'm doing it this way because I want the glitter to stay in a bit of a paste consistency so that it doesn't spread throughout the entire piece. So just adding a little bit of resin as I feel it's needed, and then I'll go ahead and mix that up as well and set it to the side. And just a friendly reminder, if you are liking this video so far, don't forget to give it a like. It not only helps out my channel a whole lot, but it also lets me know that I'm making content that you guys want to see from me. Now that I've got all of my pigments mixed up, I'm going to go ahead and hit them with a heat gun to pop any bubbles that are forming on the surface. Next, I'm going to go ahead and start layering my colors into my molds, starting with a ring of black right around that outside edge. And I like to do it this way because I do like my pieces to have a darker edge right around the outside. And after that, I'm going to start with a puddle pour technique, starting with my clear resin first. And I think the clear resin acts as a bit of a window so you can see some of the interactions happening with the resin beneath it. So next I've poured in my white resin, and then I'm going in with some of that translucent gray or black. After that, a little bit more white, and I'll continue layering my colors until my molds are just about full, leaving a little bit of space because I do want to finish them with some clear resin and also have room for my glitter. A puddle pour technique essentially just means that you pour your pigments into the center of the piece and allow each next color to sort of push out the color before it. You can also use this technique with fluid acrylic painting as well. I'd also love to know in the comments if you are a beginner resin artist, if you've been working with resin for a while, if you've never worked with resin but you just enjoy craft videos. I'd love to know more about you guys that are watching my videos. So I've poured in my last bit of white, and now I'm just going to go ahead and push that out with some of my clear resin. When you're filling your molds, it's also really important to keep an eye on how close you are to the edge because you don't want to overfill your molds, which will make cleanup a lot harder, and then you may have to sand down your piece and do a lot of extra work. I wanted to add a couple more rings, so I went in again with some more black resin and then that gray, and I'll be filling the centers one more time with my clear resin. And also, I just want to remind you, if you are just getting started with resin art, it's very important that you wear gloves whenever you're working with resin because you don't want to get it on your bare skin. I also like to use wax paper just to protect my desk or any surface that I may be working on. Now that I've got all my colors in, I'm going to go ahead and hit them with the heat gun and make sure that I've got all of those bubbles popped. And then I'll add a little bit of that glitter into the center of each one of these. Next, I need to let these set up for about 4 to 5 hours, so they're still pliable, but they're okay to work with. So I'm going to cover these up and I'll see you guys soon. Now that the molds are partially set up, it's time to go ahead and pull them out of the molds and start shaping them into bowls. So you can see here, after about 5 hours, they're still very pliable, but they're cured enough to handle without leaving fingerprints on them. So I'm taking 2 normal bowls from my kitchen and I'm going to line those both with some wax paper. I'm going to be using these bowls to shape my pieces, and the wax paper is just going to help so that they don't get stuck or damage the bowl at all. Because the resin is still not fully cured, you want to take your time as you're demolding these, just working your way around the outside edges slowly and getting that pulled off before you pull the entire piece out. And as you can see here, we've got some really cool different patterns and some depth and dimension to these. Both the backs and the front are looking really, really neat. But I want this to be the centerpiece or the focal point, so I'm going to choose to insert it this way. So I'm just applying some light pressure here to press that bowl down into the center of the other bowl. And then I'm going to go ahead and fold that wax paper over the top of it and use a cured resin art project just to weigh that down a little bit. But you can use any sort of heavier object that you have laying around your room or your home that will fit in this piece and just keep the shape. And then demolding my second piece here, and I absolutely love how these turned out. I think that they're really stunning. So I'm going to repeat that same process, just pushing that down into the center of the bowl. And you do want to make sure that it's lined up with the center of the bowl so that it doesn't cure lopsided. After I'm happy with how it's laying in the bowl, I'll go ahead and wrap that wax paper over and again weigh it down. And then I'll go ahead and let these cure completely. Alright, so I went ahead and I let my bowls set up overnight, so they should be completely cured. And let's go ahead and pull them out and see how they turned out. I am obsessed with how these look. I love how there's so much texture, all these little kind of like splotches of color going on, lots and lots of cool stuff, and we've got a great slant on these. Also look at the backs of these, they're so pretty. So great slant, a great shape, and let's pull out the other one. Oh, I've also mentioned it before, but because this wax paper is still totally clean, you can just go ahead and fold it up and use it for another project. Second bowl. Again, a lovely bowl shape to it. It's not too dramatic, but it is a nice slant. And the colors are looking so pretty. I'll definitely make sure to take some footage of these in natural light so you can see the reactions a little bit better. But these are truly stunning. I'm a sucker for black and white. I really love it. And I think that these came out really cool. My fiance and I have been watching the new Wednesday Addams lately, and we're both really loving it, so I kind of wanted to make something inspired by her, something that is black and white, but also has a little bit of a sparkle to it. So I think that these really kind of encapsulate the feeling that I was going for. But I'm also really curious to make some like 3D black and white flowers, so let me know down in the comments below if you want to see a video like that for me. And also let me know if you guys are watching the new Wednesday too. So let's go ahead and finish these guys up. Also, before I forget, I want to say a really quick thank you to Let's Resin. So they've been sending me a couple different resin kits and some different resin to try out, and I've really been enjoying all the materials that they sent. So thank you so much to Let's Resin for making my little artist heart very, very happy. And I'll make sure to add some links down below so you guys can shop the products that I've been using as well. Okay, back on track. So to finish these pieces up, I'm gonna go ahead and add a metallic silver border to these using a Deco Premium Color Paint pen. And if you've been watching my videos for a while now, you know that I love these Deco Premium paint pens. They've got great coverage and have a very metallic finish and are super easy to use. So I'm going to be using this in a silver today just to go around the outside border of my pieces and give them a bit more of a professional finish. And anytime you're working with a paint pen, you want to make sure you give it a good shake first. So to give these pieces a nice finished border, I'm just going to take my time and work my way around the outside edge of each piece, making sure that I'm getting into all of those little cracks and crevices because these do have an irregular shape to the outside of them. So really just take your time as you're going through and painting the sides of your pieces. I also do like to extend that outside border just a little bit into the center of the piece so you can see it from the top a little bit better. But as you're doing this, just make sure that you're being wary of where you're placing your fingers, because it does take a few minutes for the paint pen to dry, so you don't want it to smudge or to get on your fingers and leave little metallic fingerprints all over your finished piece. Alright, so we've got a nice border on these pieces and they're all finished up. I'll definitely be listing these pieces on my Etsy, which is fragilebeings.com, and I'll link that down below in the description. It's a great way that you can support me, my art, and this channel. As always, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending part of your day with me. And if you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave me some sort of black emoji in the comments just so that I know that it's real. I really hope that this video inspires you to make something of your own today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!